We are live. Welcome back to our Friday night weekly live stream. This one is our favorite one because we get to answer your questions after we do our introduction theme. I have my entire team, not entire, some of them, backstage as usual, and they will be coming up one at a time to share their perspective on today's theme, which is all about why people gain weight on a carnivore diet and how to achieve weight loss and body recomposition on a carnivore diet. Some of the most popular topics and most asked questions that we get every single week at these Friday night live streams. So I'll start with my perspective and my experience. When I first went carnivore 6 years ago, now officially 6.5 years, high fat carnivore. That's me. When I first started 6.5 years ago, my first 3 months, I want to say, I experienced an extreme opening up of my appetite. I ate more than I ever have in my entire life. I was hungry all the time, and I was craving for lots of fat, so much fat. Hence, the butter making its way into my handle because I would literally be eating sticks of butter a day, up to 2 sticks typically. So you can imagine when my appetite opened up that much, I gained weight. Naturally, I gained weight on a carnivore diet my first few months. I didn't step on the scale because I knew that it would affect my mental health and self-esteem, and it would probably make me not want to continue carnivore. But I suspect I gained anywhere from 20 to 30 pounds my first 6 months on a carnivore diet. And I'll explain to you why I feel like I gained it so quickly and so naturally. I was vegan for 6 years before I went carnivore. Okay, 6 years of eating a low fat, high carb, low protein diet. So I was malnourished. I lost my period. My skin issues just were not getting better. And I started developing disordered eating habits. So I would eat a vegan meal. I would be bloated and stuffed, but just 30 minutes later, I would feel hungry again. I started developing food noise. I started to obsess over food, and I could not stop thinking about what I'm going to cook for the next meal, what's the next snack. It was a very unhealthy relationship with food. So because I had 6 years of that much stress on my body from the malnourishment of a vegan diet, coupled with working out very, very hard in the gym because I couldn't seem to lose those last 10 to 15 pounds, that was so much stress on my body that when I went carnivore to finally heal and nourish, my body needed to gain that healthy weight. It needed to gain that healthy 20 to 30 pounds initially to bring back my period in just a few short months. I was so happy when my period came back just a few months into high fat carnivore. And I knew that that was a sign of deep healing and that my hormones were finally happy again. So before I bring on my next team member, I want to know where you all are located. Always, I want to see how international tonight's group is. Drop it in the live chat and in the comments where you guys connecting from. And I want to just drive home that for some women and gentlemen, when weight gain happens in the beginning of carnivore, this is not something to freak out about. This is not something that you have to feel like, okay, carnivore diet is not for me. I quit. I'm going back to low fat calorie restriction. Please give it time. I needed 6 full months of eating as much as I needed. I needed 6 full months of high fat carnivore to really make my body feel safe, that it could finally close up that huge appetite, start healing my hormones, start revving up the metabolism. It was after the 6-month mark where I felt like I could go from 5 meals a day, priming every single day, down to 3 meals a day, and slowly down to 2 meals a day. And as you eat less and less, because naturally your body needs less and less food, as you heal your hormones and your metabolism is fired up, naturally, without even having to work for it, you will lose weight on a carnivore diet and you will get that beautiful body recomposition. Please let me know in the live chat if you guys are trying to lose weight or if you are trying to gain muscle / gain healthy weight. Let me know in the comments, please. Now I'm going to bring on my my first team member, Laura. Hi, Laura. Welcome. How are you?
Good, good. Happy Friday Night Live, everyone.
Yes. Now introduce yourself first. How long have you been carnivore and how young are you?
I have been carnivore 3.5 years. I started with SBG. I had changed my way of eating to ketovore originally and got myself into some difficulties with artificial sweeteners doing a keto diet. So I changed over. I found Bella through an interview with Dr. Ken Berry that she did. And after she talked about the priming protocol, which is the flagship of the SBG platform, and I believe a very powerful tool to help get rid of cravings and give you success with carnivore. So I started with SBG 3.5 years ago on January 5th of 2021, it was, I believe.
Amazing. Now, what is your experience with losing weight, gaining weight? Share anything that you can on this topic.
Okay, well, when I'd gone ketovore, I had lost about 17 pounds initially, so I was starting to lose weight, but I had lost it very quickly, and it kind of ravaged my face. I had a lot of loose skin. Not a lot of loose skin on my body because that was more of an all-over inflammation flow release. But as I said, I had given myself some pretty serious artificial sweetener cravings, and something that sugar had never done to me. Allulose, monk fruit, stevia, all these kinds of artificial sweeteners that are supposed to be good for you, these low glycemic sweeteners that are touted as being okay to use, just worked so fast on the addiction center of my brain. So that's why I came to SBG. I immediately dived into their priming protocol. I initially gained, I think it was about 7, maybe 8 pounds. But again, because I'd lost the other weight so fast, it was actually a good thing for me. And then as I continued priming and getting into the fasting protocol and that as well, that weight went away. My body has totally recomped. As I said, I lost a layer of inflammation over my entire body, and muscle that I already had because I'd been working out for years. I was almost an obsessive gym rat. So the muscle that I had that you could never really see was there. And as my body recomped, you began to see this toning take place. And anyway, age, I'm currently, I'll be 71, as a matter of fact, the end of August. So another year is quickly coming.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes, guys, for those who are new here, she did say 71 years young. Okay, just look at her and then let's actually see those guys.
This is embarrassing, but there they are. As you can see, there is definitely composition there.
Just stunning, stunning. Thank you for sharing that, Laura. Let's bring on my next team member here, Phil Smith. Hi, Phil.
Hey,
welcome. Introduce yourself.
how are you doing? Glad to be here from Tampa, Florida. So I've been a carnivore since August of 2023. So coming up on my 2-year anniversary. In fact, I'll hit 700 days when we're in Montana next week. So that'll be one of those round numbers that I have to deal with. So I wanted to talk tonight about the fact that I became a carnivore to reverse metabolic syndrome, which I did in 4 months. During that time, I lost a lot of weight, got my metabolic syndrome completely resolved, and then dropped another 16 or so pounds after the metabolic syndrome was resolved. And then I had an interview with you, Bella, back in late October last year, where I had a bout where I was found to have a non-operable lesion in one of my coronary arteries, a 70% lesion at a critical junction that couldn't be ballooned or angioplasty or stented. And my cardiologist gave me a lot of studies to go to read. And basically the studies were showing, and I did a interview with you in October and Coach Raymond, that there are basically three things you do to reverse coronary artery disease and to regress or dissolve existing plaque. Number one, you want to reduce inflammation from your body. Carnivore way of eating checks that box. Second, walking seems to be the best exercise for plaque regression. So, and the studies have looked at different levels of walking a day, and it's 7,000 steps a day. And that's 5 kilometers or 300 or 3.1 miles in US measures. And then the third thing is statin, not to reduce LDL, because it's not about your LDL. It's about what are called the pleiotropic effects, which it seems like through 4 different mechanisms, the statins have the ability to stabilize that plaque. And in a small percentage of people, about 18%, actually reduce the plaque as well. So I wanted to do all three and to see if I was having problems. I knew that the statin had a small risk of bringing back my metabolic syndrome. And I took it every day. I didn't have any of the muscle problems. I didn't have any liver issues. But 5 months into the statin treatment, it was pretty obvious my metabolic syndrome was coming back. I was doing the same walking, I was doing the same diet, staying carnivore, but abdominal adipose tissue started coming back, and and my blood pressure was creeping up, all signs of metabolic syndrome. So I stopped it about 90 days ago, and have maintained my other programs. So I'm doing the 2 of the 3 legs. I won't do the statin because the reason I took the statin was on the outside chance it might cause plaque regression. But that plaque regression was about an 18% chance of that occurring. My metabolic syndrome coming back, my insulin resistance, would increase my risk of new plaque by 600%. So it's pretty obvious that the statin was working against everything I achieved. So that's been cut out. And we recently did an interview, which will be coming out probably in 6 weeks or so, where I'll tell my story to a little more detail. But I think this was, I'm using myself as kind of a case study over the next 2 years, because I've had a 3D coronary angiography done by CT scan. And what I want to do is repeat that in 2 years after this therapy and see if I've actually had plaque regression, plaque progression, or I'm no different. But the warning sign here is doing everything right. One medication actually metabolically took away the benefits I was achieving. And I realized that if I wasn't a physician and a physiologist, I might not have picked up on that. And so it's forced me to think a little deeper about insulin resistance and how I can help more people in the carnivore community with that topic. And I've been doing a lot of research, and we'll have some new things to offer in the fall on insulin resistance. I'm very excited about. But don't assume that the wrong medication can't counter some of the good things that come from carnivore.
That's amazing. Thank you for that very unique and eye-opening perspective. Before I bring on the next team member, Coach Raymond, let me just put up how you can submit your questions. Okay, so please post your question as shown on the little moving banner. Use a capital Q before your question and then type your question and go ahead and submit that in the live chat. And we will go from first to last and answer as many as we can. Now, Raymond is now up. Welcome. What can you share about why people gain weight on a carnivore diet? And what are your tips to eventually lose that weight or just lose weight in general on carnivore?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so pretty much why do people gain a weight initially on carnivores? Because, well, we've been starving ourselves for a while, just like Bella says, and we are just hungry. And the body doesn't mistaken that it thinks it's hungry. It really is. There's some damages that just needs to be repaired first. So if you just don't have the materials there for the body to do it, it's going to constantly trigger that hunger hormone if it hasn't given up on you. Because there's some people that literally their hunger hormones have given up on them and they never feel hungry. And that's also another issue. So it wants to gain the resources. Once it gets the resources, then it starts working on itself, which is a good thing. So it's not all about what we weigh. It's actually very little about what we weigh. It's really about how good our quality of lives are. Now, this is really hard to measure, how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. And not only that, during the carnivore diet, it's not all ups and downs. There'll be very much a roller coaster ride. You'll feel some great peaks and you're like, it's getting somewhere. And then you also feel some valleys too. This is why consistency on the carnivore diet matters. This is why we're here every Friday to let you know, hey, this is going to work for you. It took a while for me as far as weight, just weight wise. I didn't really start seeing any significant weight shift for about the one to the six packs for about a year and a half. So it took a little while. So, initially the water weight goes down and then afterwards it's stalled. Then there's weight gain for me and then weight loss and weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. And eventually it just kind of stabled out, which is amazing. So, but I didn't look at that. I just knew that this was the way for me. And that's how I progress from here.
Amazing. So we've all got our own special experiences and perspectives. We've got a retired MD on the panel tonight and a very experienced carnivore coach. So get the questions coming in. I'm going to do this one first right here. Let me take off this rotating banner real quick. So this one is about the Montana meetup, which is actually in just a few days. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay. Dana. Hi from Arizona. Wife and I are driving to the 4th of July event and wondering if anyone where live near the event and has some place we can park and camp in our SUV for a night. So let me just answer this real quick and then I'll just share what this Montana thing is all about for newbies here. Please open the email, Dana. The team and I have sent out multiple emails up to now telling you guys the exact address of firstly the barbecue on the 4th and then the next day the Q&A and VIP dinner if you got the VIP dinner experience. So you can check out the address for both and see if you can find anywhere nearby. Let's see. I'm going to just add Lindy to the stage just to make sure I'm not missing anything else here. Lindy, any tips for Dana? You're muted.
Yeah, there's also a link to the private Facebook group. So please join the private Facebook group and you might find someone in there who can help you find a place as well. There are a few suggestions. I think someone else as well has been asking the same question.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So Facebook group, definitely you can connect with all of the attendees and see who else is bringing their RV. That would be perfect. Now, for the newbies wanting to know what this is about, it is our first ever, okay, SBG meetup. This is all in person. This will not be a Zoom call, but I will try my best to stream it live next Friday just to show you guys a little bit of all the festivities and the food we're eating. But it's in Bozeman, Montana, and you guys can still get tickets if you are nearby and would like to make a trip out to hang out with all of us. Chafees are coming. Carnivore Ray is coming. Dr. Baker, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Wiedemann, Todd Bachnes is kind of hosting it because it's his hometown. And Carrie, we're still waiting if he's coming, but he might. And obviously the entire SBG team, Laura, Phil, Raymond, Todd. Okay, so many carnivores, and it's just a great place to connect, hang out, celebrate Independence Day. Go to sbg.events if you guys want to get that ticket. I also want to share real quick, it doesn't really matter if you can't come this year, because I personally will make it my mission to do more in-person events and meetups. I've been to at least 10 now. I'm 6 years in, so I love going to these. And I'm telling you, it's magical every single time, because carnivores in the community get to connect. They meet people who live close by to them, and they build lifelong friendships. You get to meet people who were the reason why you went carnivore. So we will post all future events at that website, SBG.events. So lovely Lindy will drop the link again in the live chat so it's clickable. It's also in the description box. Next up, we have Sharon here. Sharon says, I've gained weight as well, and I'm wondering if it's the butter. Laura, what do you think? We don't hear you. Sorry, you're just muted. No worries.
I forgot I locked out my voice there and noise here. The butter is probably not what's doing it. Don't fear the fat. Believe it or not, I too am a high fat carnivore. I continued to lose weight eating high fat. As a matter of fact, I'd kind of leveled out, and then and that's around the time I was probably a year and a half in, and that's around the time that high fat really started to being a catchphrase. And I'm like, what's this high fat thing? I was already eating an extra little bit of butter here, cooking my eggs in butter there. But then we see our butter muncher over here full force, and everybody starts doing it in the community. And then, so I'm like, okay, well, I've got to get on this bandwagon too. So I started doing it as well. And lo and behold, guess what? The weight started to come down even more. So, and for me, the body composition, I really shouldn't say the weight, because some of that weight has come back, but I'm 2 or 3 sizes smaller than what I was. So I don't look at the weight as much as I look at what I look like and what clothes I'm wearing. So that's another thing. And we see this all the time in open chat and on some of the other calls. The women are like, well, I'm not losing weight, not losing weight. We're like, don't look at the weight. Take pictures. Look at the clothes you're wearing. How are the clothes fitting? So I don't think it's going to be the butter. Your body is likely putting on weight that it needs to help with that satiation and to feel safe. And then the rest will start to happen.
Could not agree more. And don't forget that for a lot of new carnivores, there is an adaptation period for when your body needs to maybe gain a little bit of weight, like I was saying in the beginning, before it starts losing, before it starts feeling safe to. And then there is also such a thing as recomposition, where some women gain weight but lose in inches and sizes. So do keep that in mind. The scale is not your best friend here when you go carnivore.
Right.
Definitely.
Yes. Steph, now, what is priming, Raymond?
Priming is very simple. So it's a period of 2 weeks where we re-nourish our bodies. We would eat 3 meals a day of carnivore foods, eating within 1 hour of waking. And if we drink anything but water, you drink that as a dessert. Very important, especially for you coffee drinkers out there. And you'll do that for a week with snacks if you need it, and the second week's without snacks, and see how you've gone. And then there's a little more to it to test out how well you've primed. But we talk a lot about that on our priming class, and that way we'll find out whether we're primed enough to be ready for fasting.
Perfect. So just to recap for everyone, priming, we get asked what is priming every single Friday, every single week. So priming is basically eating 3 meals a day, but it's not just, like bite-sized, tiny little toddler portions. It's really trying to push yourself to eat more than you ever have. Obviously not to the point where you feel gross and uncomfortable, but it's a wonderful learning period to know just how much your body and appetite can handle. Okay, so it's a set period of time where you follow Raymond's calendars and schedules that he gives out every week. And I'll get to that where he posts it soon. And then after you feel ready to move on, you slowly dwindle down to 2 meals a day. And for those who want to keep going, you slowly dwindle down to OMAD. And then for those who want to go to his next levels, then he holds your hand through all these different cool, exciting, different types of fasts, rolling 48s, 36, alternative day, and more. So it's really exciting for those who do want to explore more advanced fasting with Raymond. And I'll just put up where he teaches this, because it's impossible for Raymond to teach his protocol in these live streams because it gets personal. He really needs to provide very personalized troubleshooting during his weekly calls and classes that he does. And our next challenge is happening in 4 days, July 1st. I'm so excited. We want it to be enough time for you to actually see results in the body recomposition that everybody who's long-term carnivore talks about, that Laura has seen, that Phil has seen and experienced, that Raymond and I have seen. 30 days is not enough. 90 days is more like it. So we focus on transformation of the physical body and the mind. And July 1st is our next kickoff day. So if you guys do want to join us, I'll just put up the URL on screen so it's easy to see. SBGmeetup.com, as shown on screen. I've also always link it in the description box. You can see right there, if you zoom in, the $2,000, like what is that all about? I want to make sure that all members and challengers who join for each of the challenges feel enough motivation to actually stick with it. I know how difficult it is to stick with anything new, any lifestyle changes for longer than 7 days. By the 14-day mark, I want to say 80% of people who say they committed have no longer committed because life got in the way, restaurants, social activities. When there's $2,000 on the line, the success rate is higher. So why not? Let's make it fun and exciting every single month. So if you want to join this next phase, come on in. We'll help you guys out. Let's zoom in on the faces, the doctors and experts being featured week by week. Dr. Baker comes every single month. It's so exciting to see all of the members that show up for him because, come on, he's the reason why we're all carnivore. Dr. Kiltz, he answers fertility questions, PCOS, hormones, all of it. Dr. Bright is so special because she helps women heal thyroid, adrenals, hormones, all of it. And she's amazing with her high fat approach. Dr. Chafee is wonderful. Plants are trying to kill you. Well, he can elaborate in his Q&As. Coach Raymond has his weekly priming and fasting calls, and Dr. Ovadia with all things heart health. It's a very complete panel. And you also get to speak with Phil whenever he hops on, and you get the camaraderie from the community. So we look forward to seeing you if you join us for the next challenge. All right, let's keep going. Okay, so this is from Basque. I lost 45 pounds in the 4 months, but now 0 during the past 1.5 months. I just don't seem to be able to lose. I'll just take this really quick. What's wrong with not losing weight for 1.5 months, right? And again, we here in the SBG team highly recommend that you put that scale away and then use instead progress photos. How do you take progress photos? Literally take out your phone. Okay, stand in front of a full body mirror and take photos like this so that you get that full body, and take it 2 weeks at a time is ideal. You don't need to do it every day because then you could drive yourself insane. 2 weeks at a time. And also don't forget about face photos because face photos are so powerful. We have seen amazing transformations in just the skin, how lifted your face is, how much inflammation you're holding in your cheeks, how puffy your eyes are. It's stunning to see how your face alone changes. So do that and keep us posted. All right, Charlene, I'm trying to lose weight. I've been stuck for 6 months. I don't know why. Ooh, I'm a 76-year-old female, and my first 6 months I lost 40 pounds, but now I'm stuck. Any advice, Laura?
I'd have to ask what you're eating and how much. Are you sure you're getting in the protein that you want for your ideal body weight, and double that in fat and animal fats? That's the best way that I know that it works. So if you, and we all, one of the things I loved about carnivore is I didn't have to track. I never liked tracking. But I have found that I have to go every so often, and especially if things are not going where I want them to go, I do track. I use Carb Manager, and because then I can see the percentage of fat to protein. And lo and behold, every time this happens, what I find is even though I think I'm eating plenty, I'm not. I'm maybe down to 1,500 calories again, or 1,600 calories, and that's not enough. So I know then, but I don't do it all the time. I don't want to be just like not wanting to be on the scale all the time. I don't want to have to be tracking all the time. But it's a good check-in, and especially if you haven't been losing, like you said here, you've been stuck for 6 months. It might be that you're not getting enough fat in, and possibly even enough protein. Women especially, it's always been in our minds that we shouldn't be eating this way. So even if you're like initially diving in, it's like, oh, I can eat a 24-ounce ribeye. I can eat this. I can eat that. But that, as you become more satiated, that begins to really tone down. If you haven't done the priming, Charlene, come and do that, because it does teach you so much about your body and where you're actually at. So Raymond has developed this amazing, when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, come on, you're going to eat all this. You're going to eat for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And our favorite thing is to say you're going to eat till you hate Raymond.
Yeah.
And it is a thing. Trust me, it is a thing. So, but when I first started, it was like, oh, I don't know. But then it was like, oh yeah, man, I can do this. And I'm shoving it in as fast as I can. But we tend to get away from that. You're satiated. You're just not eating as much. You think one hamburger patty and an egg on top is filling you now, where you used to eat 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. So every so often, tracking, I think, really does show you what's going on. Yes. And I would be willing to bet you're probably under eating.
Well said. Bravo, Laura. Bravo. I want to know, how many pounds of meat can you guys eat in a typical day? Typical day, how many pounds of meat? If you love your eggs, throw it in there. I want to see the amounts in a typical day that you all eat. Feel free to share. Okay, this one's for Phil. All right, put Phil at the top here. Linda says, I've been eating carnivore for a few weeks and I just fell and broke 2 metatarsal bones in my foot. And now I'm worried about losing bone density. Any tips? 74, I weigh 140. Thank you.
Yeah, so sorry to hear you broke your metatarsal bones. That's very hard. You're probably in a shoe right now, or you may not even be weight bearing. But what we see with postmenopausal women is an actual improvement in bone density when you're eating adequate protein, high fat carnivore. And most women are approaching osteopenia, which is weak bones, completely wrong, and more focused on vitamin D and calcium. And you really should be focused on getting the protein and getting the bioavailable calcium that's in the meat, and to also be doing, when your foot's better, doing some weight bearing exercises. But we have had many ladies stabilize their DEXA scans and in fact improve their bone density on a 2-year basis when they are carnivore. So I would just keep eating, make sure you're getting 140 grams of protein a day and at least 210 to 280 grams of fat a day. And that will help your hormones, will help your bone density, will help your calcium balance in your body. So those would be my tips.
Thank you, Phil. Amazing. Adriana, what if I cannot eat the 3 meals a day on carnivore and my appetite is not there because of the high fat, Raymond?
Wow, the great question. So, we think to ourselves that we should be able to eat the same amount of fats in 3 meals if we're putting a lot of high fat. Remember, you're eating 3 meals. You're going to get your fats in no matter what. So what I would say is, let's enjoy the food that you like. is it ribeyes for 3 meals? I cannot do ribeyes for 3 meals because just too much fat, right? So what I do is I'll have a hamburger, for example, at lunch, and at dinner, sometimes just salmon, something simple like that. And I'll have my ribeye in the morning. But, you could change all of that up. And that's the answer, right? So figure out how to make those 3 meals. Okay, why 3 meals? Why is that so important? First of all, nourishing yourself all throughout the day is important until your body doesn't want that anymore. So what I'm saying is this is for a period of time where your body really needs it. Now, there will be an adaptation process. This is why priming, and I get all of these questions and I get to answer you guys what to expect. You'll have to train your body back up to get to 3 meals somehow. Do that, whatever it takes, just figure it out. It may elongate your priming so it may be longer than 2 weeks, depending on how well you understand your body during that period of 2 weeks. So, but that's the gist of it. Hopefully that helps. Get those 3 meals in however you can.
I also want to share a pro tip here. Breakfast is, in my opinion, the most important meal of the day, especially if you're female and trying to heal those hormones. Okay, so all the women watching, wanting to lose weight, wanting to have optimally functioning hormones, breakfast is the meal to really focus on. And so if you're integrating Raymond's priming protocol where it's 3 meals a day for a set amount of time, if you're really working hard to eat as much fat and protein as you can and have that biggest meal of the day to be the breakfast meal, you are already way in like head start for your day, your nutrition, for how much you can eat, and you won't have to cram everything during dinner time, which is not a good idea anyways, because having so much food in your belly right before going to bed, you're not going to feel great. You're not going to sleep great, and you're not going to wake up the next morning energized and amazing. So breakfast is the meal to really focus on, Adriana. Literally just focusing on that this week and then coming back next week, giving us an update would be really the best step forward. Okay, so keep us posted, please. Elizabeth Miranda. Learning, but I don't speak English. I translate your videos. That's awesome. Thank you. I weigh 350 pounds. I have depression. Started carnivore 3 weeks ago. I'm hungry like 3 times a day. I'm gaining weight. I have muscle pain. What else? So I think she's asking what should she be doing with all of these details that she shared. Do we want to start, Phil? Why don't you start with this one? Oh, Phil may
Can
not.
we hear you? We don't hear you. There.
Yeah, did I freeze?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're in the middle of a thunderstorm right now, so you may lose me. So
No problem.
I'm surprised you don't hear the rain hitting. It's really crazy right now. But so typically, you're hungry 3 times a day and you're gaining weight. It sounds like and this is going to be really weird, but you probably need to eat even more so that you're not hungry all the time. And the biggest problem people have, especially when you weigh 350 pounds, is your metabolism is so slow due to chronic undereating. And the chronic undereating lowers your metabolism, downregulates your hormones, and your goal is you want to get your hormones properly regulated, and you want to reactivate your hunger and satiety hormones and get them back into balance again. And that's where the priming that Coach Raymond talked about is so critical, especially for someone like you. And it's so counterintuitive. You need to quit weighing and go through a period of eating 3 meals a day until you're stuffed for each meal, until you no longer have that feeling like you're hungry all the time. And that will help you to know that you've got the nutrition back, and then you can start doing some other things. Elizabeth, you really benefit from being in community with us. I think Coach Raymond could help you a lot over time, but in the meantime, less stressing about the weight, more about getting the metabolism fixed.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. Chuck, my wife is full menopause. Is fat still important, especially for women to lose weight? She is eating fat, meat, salt, coffee, carnivore 5 years now, and 60. Wants to be down one more size. Thank you. Laura, why don't you take this?
Yes, fat continues to be important. I went through menopause at like 42, forced, but and I wasn't eating the fat then, and my hormones totally tanked. So yes, you need the fat. You need that you need it for brain health. You need it for everything. You need it for bone strength. You need it for your hormones. So yes, definitely. 5 years, kudos to her. And one more size, she'll get there. She'll get there. Movement, make sure. And as Phil said, walking is one of the best things. You don't have to go out there and do crazy stuff. Cardio, the more cardio you do, the higher your cortisol goes and you'll put weight back on. I learned this myself because I love spin class and I was doing it 5 days a week. And I know every time I start doing that, sure enough, my waist size will go up. So I now limit that and I keep it to 2 or 3 days a week at the most, usually 2. So yes, fat is important. Fat, meat, salt, coffee, make sure, and this is where a lot of us fail. I was resistant for the longest time on this, no matter how many times Raymond said, have my coffee as dessert. I wanted my coffee first thing in the morning. I didn't want to eat breakfast. I wanted to go to the gym fasted. That's all changed. I have my coffee after I eat something, even if it's just a couple pieces of bacon in the morning before I go to the gym. I'm getting some protein and fat in. Then I'll have a cup of coffee and I add butter and I add coconut oil still. Or recently I started adding coconut oil again to it also. So I'm getting plenty of fat. That's at least 2 tablespoons of fat in every cup of coffee that I have. So I'll do that. But my coffee is a dessert. I have to have some nourishment first because that will also raise your cortisol if you have coffee before you eat. So that may be that one little small key that's what's holding her back.
So true. Again, coffee after breakfast is one of those really life-changing yet simple hacks that you can just start practicing. It changes the way that you eat, that you think about food, even just your whole relationship with food can change when you have that coffee after breakfast, right, Raymond?
Absolutely. I mean, there, and if you take a look, I'm not the only one that says this. You know, there are others that talk about coffee as dessert. So, and as a matter of fact, if you take a look, like I think in Spain and in France, they have it as a dessert. There are reasons why we do that. Now, we do know, and there are studies that we do know coffee on an empty stomach, not for everybody, but a lot of folks, it affects their cortisol, affects their hunger signals, and it affects them, whether they know it or not, their ability to sleep, rest, and even get on a rest and digest mode when it's time to eat. And all of that is actually a big deal. Yes, I understand. If you have a little bit of coffee once every blue moon on an empty stomach, will that matter? No, it is the chronic condition of having it daily that is the issue.
Love it. Thank you, Raymond. Let's keep going. All right, this is from Sierra. What do I do when I get meat aversion? 3 weeks into carnivore and it hit me today. I will take this real quick. Check out my recipes. So maybe you're new here. You don't know that I have an online Bella's Cafe that is open for you to explore all of the awesome recipes. I try my best to mimic very popular American dishes that we all grew up on and love. Recently came out with a carnivore cheesecake. You can do carnivore pancakes. Did you know you can do carnivore pizza? So there's so many dishes that you can do. Lindy, if you don't mind linking it in the live chat, but it should be linked in the description box if you guys want to check it out after this live stream. But just there's so many great cooking channels that are carnivore now. If you just simply search on YouTube search bar, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're craving, and then put a carnivore in front of it, I'm willing to bet there's already a video there, already a recipe that you can enjoy. Another thing that's more simple and maybe doesn't require you to whip out all the tools and cook something elaborate is lean on seafood. don't forget about seafood. It's so underrated. Sashimi, if you like it raw, or some flash boiled shrimp dipped in melted butter, your meat aversion will go away quickly. Okay, try those. AP, how does blood pressure lowering medications affect weight loss on carnivore, Phil?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different classes of blood pressure medicines that people take. There's diuretics, which don't affect the weight loss, but they do affect your electrolyte balance and cause you to lose potassium and sometimes lower your sodium. The beta blockers are very prominent at as a side effect of commonly depressing your mood a little bit. And when your mood is depressed, you don't sleep as well. You may eat more. You may not feel good about yourself. You may not be as committed as you are. The calcium channel blockers, which work by dilating your arteries, also dilate your veins as a side effect. And if you have any kind of lymphedema, which is swelling of the ankles and legs due to bad lymphatic flow, they can actually make it worse, and you can go into more fluid retention. It's not weight gain, it's weight gain due to fluid retention. The ACE inhibitors and are neutral. They don't have any effect on your weight gain. Aldosterone agents don't either. Those would be the main ones that I would be looking at if I was having issues with my weight. And it was very interesting. I said at the opening that when I went on a statin trial, my blood pressure actually went up temporarily because of the return of metabolic syndrome. But my blood pressure now that I'm off the statin for 90 days is back to normal, and it's like 105/60, which is my normal. So
Perfect.
lots of meds can affect your weight, not just blood pressure meds.
Okay, great. Steph says, what is prime? Oh, we already did this.
Good.
Okay, let's do this one for Laura. Sherry says, hi, Laura. I've lost 29 pounds in 8 months. I am almost at my goal weight. I have wrinkled skin all over my body, also in the face, no exercising at the moment. What will help with these wrinkles?
Okay. Best suggestion I have for you is to join SBG, get into the priming so you can learn how to fast. I don't know if you have any fasting history. I did not. I had tried a couple of 8-hour fasts. I shouldn't say I was trying for a 24-hour, but I would make it about 8 hours, 12 hours if I was really pushing it. And I was usually drinking like 6 cups of black coffee to make it that far. So Raymond laughs. Anyway, so when I joined SBG, one of the things that you do learn is to do a nourished fast. And the 90-day protocol will take you through fasting 72 hours. And I always tell a little story that when I first started, all I was interested in was this word priming, and that it was going to make my cravings go away. That was my goal. And I was like, fasting, I'm not interested in that. But as you go along, you become interested in it. You want to succeed in that. You want to complete that 30 days and the next 30 days and the next 30 days, which now we just say, let's face it, we need this 90 days. So it's a 90-day challenge instead of a 30-day challenge. And each month, like when I started, you continued your calendar, what you're doing in the calendar increased, and more fasting came into it. Anyway, in the end, I completed my 72-hour and I thought, okay, I've done it. I was successful. I don't know if I'll ever do it again. But guess what? As time went on, so that was in the first 6 months of being carnivore, I was able to do that 72 hours. And then as time went on, oh, I think I'll try another little fast here. Okay, I can do another 72 there. Well, now I can do a dry fast. And I've done the longest dry fast I did was 88 hours. And it's like this. And that, I think, is what has really helped the skin on my face. I mean, it was to the point where my kids at Christmas the year when I was ketovore and had lost like 17 pounds initially, my kids asked me if I was sick and hadn't told them when I came home for the holidays. That's how ravaged my face looked. And let's face it, I'm going to be 71 soon. Is it a perfect face? No, it's not. But it looks pretty darn good for my age, if I do say so myself, comparatively to other people I know too. So again, it's not perfect, but anyway, the fasting has really helped that. And I think especially the dry fasting. So where it's almost noticeable, I had like a little bit of, the little bit extra eyelid going on. Since I've started dry fasting, and I'm not doing these all the time, mind you, this is every several months I'll do one. That skin has all tightened. And the other places in my face. So it's so much better than it was when I lost that initial weight. And I didn't mention it at the beginning, but I went on to lose about 35 pounds total. Now, as I said, my weight has changed again, and sometimes it goes up a little, but I'll tell you what, I have a lot more muscle now than I did. And again, does the weight matter? Not when I've gone down 2 or 3 sizes. It doesn't. No. I could weigh 170 pounds. I'd be happy. If I'm still a size 6 or 8, I'm happy at 170 pounds. That's not where I am, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely. And I want to add an angle here. As much as we like to focus on how we're looking, how our clothes are fitting, I also want you guys to focus on how you're feeling. Because when I hang out with Laura in person, I went on a 7-day carnivore cruise, and I got to hang out with Laura every day. She had enough energy to climb the stairs only and never take the elevator. She is so full of energy, so full of life. She loves to play pickleball with her friends. Like, I want to be like that when I'm 71. And so you can't live a life that's this full and this amazing quality in life if you're starving yourself and if you're trying to push fasts and fast so long that you feel tired. It's about gaining health and also looking great in your own skin. So I want you guys to focus on that, because that's the whole theme of tonight, right? Is how to stop gaining weight and lose weight. The first step, absolutely, is to secure your diet, secure that nutrition so well that you can live the rest of your life easily eating a high protein, high fat carnivore lifestyle. If you choose this way, okay? I believe animal based is good for a lot of people, but for those who need to heal, carnivore's the way. That's the first step. And all of these amazing benefits that Laura's talking about will naturally come with enough time and consistency. Great question. Keep us posted, Sherry. Next up, we've got Mahogany. Nice name. Going carnivore on the 2nd of July and looking for any starting tips and tricks. So excited for you, Mahogany. 2nd of July. How exciting. Okay, let's do one best tip around the table, starting with Phil. Please go ahead.
Join SBG on July 1st and show up for Raymond's coaching session, and you'll have everything you need to be successful for the next 90 days.
I agree. That's my tip. I'll just throw my tip and agree with Phil on that, because our kickoff day is July 1st. So it's literally perfect timing, actually. You enjoy the kickoff, the guidance that you get in our meetings, and then you can start carnivore with confidence. What about you, Laura?
Well, Phil stole my opening. Gosh darn it. Honestly, Mahogany, let me just say that community, and that's this, or be it another community, but I've been in a number of them. And I always come back to SBG. They've got the experts, they have the coaches, they have this amazing protocol called priming that I can't say enough about it. I believe that's why that's why I had success going and staying carnivore. Remember, 3.5 years I've been here, and I do a lot of things. I do social things with friends. I travel. I'm in Italy. I've been in Italy the last 3 years, every year on a biking trip. So do I sometimes have to eat out of my carnivore ways? Yes, I do. Sometimes it's just, there's no way you can really do it and get what you need. Can I always have a piece of meat? I can have a piece of meat, but it's this big and I need this big. So sometimes I have to eat out of carnivore, but when I return from having to do that, I am so happy to just be back to the simplicity of eating a carnivore lifestyle and feeling my best and having the kind of energy that I have and the lack of brain fog that I used to have. All the pluses are back, and that's where I want to stay. If I'm lucky enough to be able to be one of those people that goes off just a little bit because of travels, that's really the only time I do that. But I'm so happy to be back here where I know I'm nourished, I feel healthy, I feel my best. And I think it's aging in reverse too. Let me just say that.
Right. I can agree. I mean,
so community, join SBG. And that's why, getting all around here, circling back, community is everything. And as we had the kickoff in June for the 90-day challenge, we have had so many people on the meetings and the lives and the open chats that just keep commenting on how much support there is and how happy they are that they joined this community because of the support that they're getting, not only from the coaches and the experts, but from the other members. It really is such a key piece of the success too, along with the priming.
What a phenomenal rave review from Laura. We're honored. Like, honestly, this is amazing because Laura has been a very long time OG. OG, by the way, is original gangster. So truly steak and butter
Not
gangster.
Old gal, original gangster.
Original gangster and original one of years. And now that she's on the team, it's just wonderful to see this come full circle for Laura. And I'm so proud and excited for what she's going to give back to the team. Seriously. Now, before I get to Raymond, I want to know who's already in SBG, the Steak and Butter Gang, who's already part of the challenge, maybe from our June kickoff. Let me know. Put it in the live chat in the comments. What's your tip, Raymond?
Well, I mean, doctor's order, first of all. I mean, look, you can totally do it yourself, but why not do it in a community? Make it fun. Also, one of the biggest tip I'm going to have for you is enjoy your food. You have permission to eat for once in your life. Do that. Just focus on the eating. Don't focus on the weight. Don't focus on the blood sugar. Don't focus on getting the proper sourced meat or anything like that. Just focus on eating carnivore foods only. And you will get to that point. Follow Bella's recipe. So you don't need a community. You can do it yourself. You've got the resources. Bella made it. She worked her tail off to make sure you have all the availabilities you need, where you don't have to pay a dime if you didn't want to. You can go to her YouTube, get everything you need from there. All the tips and tricks are there. The doctor she asked for. All we ask of you guys is just commit to that and see what it does for you. And eventually it does. Now, a lot of people, I just want to say that I used to even coach for free. But the problem is a lot of people didn't take that with ounce of respect. When we put a dollar tag on it, all of a sudden people get serious. This is why yes, some people will say $30 is so much a month. That's like coffee, like Bella always said, that's a cup of coffee a day, right? I mean, that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So, well, not nowadays, but it used to be $1. Anyways, nowadays coffee is pretty expensive. But anyways, my point is that, look, invest in your health and you're gonna really take it serious. So this is my tip.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm now going to say SBG, Steak and Butter Gangster. That's what I'm going to call the members. It's so cute. I love it. Yes. If you want to be a gangster, I'll put up put up the URL right there. It's also linked in the description. We can't wait to welcome you into the family. Seriously. Okay. I know that we are nearing the hour. Now, Phil, if you wanted to hop off, you can, of course. Okay, we love you no matter what. But we do have a big crowd tonight, and I do want to get through a couple more rapid fire style. So, Brian, thank you. I am having a hard time getting 180 grams of protein. Okay. I had a gastric bypass surgery 23 years ago. I've been doing a 6 to 18, 18 to 6 intermittent fasting style, and I find it hard to get that much protein in. Raymond, what are your tips for Brian?
Yes. So first of all, with anybody with gastric bypass or any issues actually handling any volume of foods, we like to do a gentle priming for that. So a gentle priming is eating every couple hours, and you're eating to satiation, but you're eating every couple hours up to 5 to 6 meals through it. And still, yes, that still applies anything but water as a dessert. So just get your meals in, just don't get too full, just keep eating all day long. Eventually what you'll notice is that you won't be able to do as much anymore, and that's when you start titrating. We talk all about that in the Steak and Butter Gang, of course, but those are for people who have issues with gallbladder and gastric bypass.
Perfect. Lana. Now, what about uric acid, purines, and is that TMAO, Phil?
Yeah. So great question. Obviously, you may have had gout, and when you eat protein, I mean, purines are in every cell of our body because it's part of our DNA. And some people are prone to gout. And what we see is when people start carnivore, if they've had prior gout attacks, they actually may, during the time that they're adapting, have another gout attack in the first 30 days. It's not unusual. But after that, they find that they quit having them because the biggest component that causes your uric acid to go up in your purine from your purines you eat in your diet is inflammation. And the carnivore diet is an anti-inflammatory diet. So this whole thing about eating meat is going to give you gout is a old wives' tale. Um, it was an association made back in the Middle Ages when the kings and queens would get gout and the peasants wouldn't get gout. And the reason the peasants weren't getting gout is because they were fasting and starving, and um, the royalty were overeating, and it was the beginning of the agricultural revolution, and so they were eating lots of plants. And but because they felt like the kings were eating these luxurious meals, that they were getting gout because of the meat. But there's not been an association of that. Everything that has DNA, whether it's from plant or animals, has purines in it. So, and we do produce uric acid as a breakdown product. But if your metabolic syndrome, metabolic system of your body is healthy, that's what you really need to do. So don't worry about it.
Perfect. Moving on, we've got Stella Best. Some days I don't feel like eating, but I know I should. Is this normal, or is there something else I should do? So I'm going to repeat the pro tip that we've talked a lot about tonight specifically, which is coffee after eating. You would be surprised how much caffeine can dampen and erase your hunger. That's not a good thing. I know a lot of women who are maybe in the older mindset are like, ooh, that's a way I can lose weight. I don't need to feel hunger. Yay, more coffee. That's very, very bad. Okay. Because when you don't feel real hunger and you don't feel real satiation, you're not understanding how to nourish your body anymore because you just have a dead appetite. Any tips, Laura?
So, yeah, unfortunately for women, it is all too normal. But as Bella said, eat.
Yeah.
You do need to eat. You need it to build muscle. You need it for your health. You need it for your bones. And if you, again, do the priming that we teach here at SBG, it will open your appetite and you will learn how to be able to eat. But the coffee tip especially, you're not saying you do it, but if you are one of those who does do coffee first thing, it will definitely kill your appetite. I know from long history of doing it. And now I always make sure it's almost like it's locked in my brain. I have to have something before I can have my coffee. And I drink far less coffee because of it too. So that is another plus.
That is a huge plus.
Mhm.
Yep. There you go. All right. For Raymond from T-Bone. Raymond, I had same issue as you, diverticulitis. How long did your symptoms take to get better?
Well, that depends. Are we talking about my flare-ups? How long did that take to get better? Actually, even during the time I was doing a high fat, high fat, low carb diet, because that's how I started. I started to seeing the flare-up symptoms reduce almost right away. So within 3 months. But still flooring me for about it just reduced the amount of time. So it still was 4 hours instead of 8 hours, for example. So, but which is significant. But as I went on, well, I'll give you an example right now. 7 years later, I can feel the flare up. It goes away in I don't know, 5 minutes. I'll feel it go up, go back down, and it's gone. So this is a big difference, but this is a certain amount of years. But I'm giving you an idea. It just lowers and lowers as that time goes on. Every year matters. So I almost feel like it's sealing up these pockets. And I could be wrong, but I'm like, why aren't the flare-ups as long and as intense as it used to be? It's not even intense. I just notice it now.
I see. Okay. Alicia, I see that you put in a sticker, but I don't see your question. If you don't mind just typing it again. Okay. Alicia says member since June for 90-day challenge. That's awesome. Glad you're in the gang. But if you do have a question, type it and we'll put it up, circle back to you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. This is for Phil from CSA. Dr. Smith, can we be glucagon resistant just like we can be insulin resistant?
Yeah, that's the question is no, you cannot be glucagon resistant. We actually, insulin resistance is very, very unique. And it is due to a downregulation and a miss of a receptor in the cell wall that opens up channels that allows glucose to enter into our muscle cells and to some of the other cells of our body. Glucagon gets downregulated, so we don't call it glucagon resistance. We call it glucagon downregulation. And the difference is in insulin resistance, you actually have high levels of circulating insulin, but the insulin can't work functionally at the cellular level. In the glucagon counterpart, the high insulin actually downregulates and turns off the production of glucagon. So we're glucagon short, but we're not resistant. We don't have high levels. And I've never seen anyone have too high of levels of glucagon. It's unless they have a glucagon producing tumor. But even in those people that get glucagon resistant tumors, which are very, very rare, or glucagon producing tumors, they don't get glucagon resistant. So there's your answer.
Amazing. Thank you, Phil. Lindy, do we see Alicia's question? Oh, Alicia says, didn't have a question. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much, Alicia. That's very kind. There we go.
Sweet.
Thank you. Okay, this is from Keisha. If you eat too much fat, and then we will wrap up in the next 5 minutes, okay? If you eat too much fat, will your stool tell you right away or the next day? I sometimes have diarrhea, and I'm wondering if it was my last meal or from the day before. This is a really good question. Do you know, Phil?
Well, your normal transit time of a healthy gut is typically anywhere from 8 to 16 to 24 hours. And people that get fat intolerant and have issues with too much fat could have it for 3 different reasons. One is they're not producing enough bile. 2 is they're not producing enough stomach acid to start the process. Or 3, they don't have enough lipase, which is the enzymes that help stool to be digested. I guess there's a 4th one, which is increased transit time for something else you're eating. When people intermittently have loose stools, it although pushing the fat too high in some people does cause loose stools in people that don't have healthy guts. If you've been carnivore long enough that your gut is actually healed and all your cellular connections have tightened up and we don't have inflammation, it's probably something other than fat causing you to have a loose stool once in a while. And it can be something that's irritating the colon. But one of the more common things is a lot of people develop lactose intolerance over time. And so I would do a trial of seeing if it occurs intermittently when you have too much dairy. And I don't mean butter. I mean things like anything that's got milk fat in it, cream cheese, milk, heavy whipping cream, things like that. Because I would be suspicious about that. If stools are greasy and they float, yes, that's probably too much fat because you're not digesting it all. But I think we get over concerned because we have this mental fear that we're eating too much fat. And so we want to blame too many things to consuming too much fat. So get your intestinal tract healthy and eat the fat that you want and enjoy it and experiment, see what happens.
Love it. Heather's next. Hi, SBG fam. Heather's in the gang. Can you tell me the best way to stay hydrated on carnivore? I drink 3 to 5 liters a day and I get salt in, but this has been my biggest battle to stay hydrated. Raymond.
Yeah. So one thing on carnivore that I want to let people know, if you're eating 3 meals a day, you're probably wanting to drink an awful lot of water. So that's okay. And make sure you do get the salt in on your food. So that does help. And it looks like you're doing that. You could actually, if you notice that you're just drinking that much, and it is summertime, so realize that we do need to make more liquids, but you'll notice that you have a parched kind of dry mouth all the time and just doesn't seem to go away. That part is not so bad. What you could do is just try out an element T pack or electrolyte pack that could, and see if that actually helps with your hydration. But really, if it's anything else than that, then, the doctor would probably need to get involved, like our doctor, Phil.
Phil is a retired.
I'm sorry,
physician.
retired.
I know Phil would appreciate us saying that.
Yes.
So
I am
as you can
retired.
see,
Yes.
yeah, MD retired, but he is our in-house retired physician in the gang. I think we have permission to call him that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm just a member in the gang. I mean, I'm here to help out, share knowledge, and answer questions so that you know how to have an intelligent discussion with your doctor. Because everything in healthcare is so confusing now, and we want you to make better decisions.
Yes.
And I just want to say that about a week ago, one of the carnivore doctors made a statement that, oh, if you're carnivore, you don't need a doctor. Phil does not believe that. Phil thinks you should still have your doctor. You should have a doctor that listens to you, that you can have honest conversation with.
Yeah.
And don't get your medical treatment off the internet. I don't care who it is.
Yes.
We're going to help you navigate the carnivore community and some of the things related to that. But your medical care should be from a licensed practitioner, of which I am no longer one because I'm retired.
No, well said. Thank you, Phil. Okay, Gunther, thank you so much. If people have been doing a carnivore diet with a 2-to-1 fat to protein ratio in grams for a whole year, if they lower the fat to 1.5 to 1 or 1 to 1, will their bodies burn more body fat? If so, what ratio is ideal? Now, in the SBG team, all four of us and everyone in the rest of the team, we typically like to not focus so much on tracking, but we see many situations where tracking and seeing how much fat to protein you're eating per day is very eye-opening. I'll go first, and then I'm going to pass it off to Raymond for his thoughts. 2-to-1 fat to protein for me is ideal, and I am able to stay very lean and also have very happy hormones as a female, as a 28-year-old female, when I stick to a 2-to-1 fat to protein. So I just want to preface for any women watching this that it is very possible to burn a lot of fat, to stay lean, to have happy hormones, which is very important, and to reach your body recomposition goals. If you want to build muscle, 2-to-1 fat to protein is amazing if you're eating enough protein. Like, don't see this question and feel like you all have to cut down eventually to 1.5 or 1 to 1. Now, Raymond, what are your thoughts?
Totally agree with Bella. And notice what Bella said. She's a 28-year-old female. Okay. So all of that matters. Where are you exactly? What age you are, and all of that matters. So even what stress is in your life. Now, what I want to say that matters. Yes, the fat is so important for us. But you're a year in, and you've probably gotten a lot of fat in. Now, would it be a good idea to dial back sometimes? If you don't want it, then don't have it. We like to focus on what the body wants at the time it wants it. For example, there are times, so I'm pretty much 1-to-1 ratio. But there are times I will go weeks, and sometimes I think I went like a month and a half just lean because that's all I wanted. I don't know why. And then there are months that well, most of the months are fats. So and sometimes I'll go over fat, just like Bella. What I'm trying to say is it depends on your environment, what's going on in your life. Now, don't get me wrong. If we could, probably put you in a bubble, have the exact same environments, have the same stress that you have or no stress in your life, then you probably could measure that better. What I'm trying to say is we have this gauge in our own body to tell us, hey, do we need more fat? Do we need more protein? And if it doesn't respond that well, which this is why we like to prime, so we can figure out how to get it to respond really well, right? So if it doesn't respond really well, go a week with very high fat and see what happens. And then, 30 weeks later, go high protein, see what happens. So that's one way to do it, to make sure that you understand your part. Or just go through the priming protocol. Your body will just scream at you and tell you, okay, this is what I want now. This is what I want later.
Yeah, and I want to add that people have this misconception that your metabolism is only regulated by your thyroid gland. Because I always get the question, can I normalize my thyroid my body's metabolism if I take thyroid hormone? And the answer is your metabolism is much more complicated than you can even imagine. We talk a lot about digestive hormones that are part of the endocrine system. We talk about ghrelin and leptin a lot. Ghrelin is what controls your hunger, leptin, your satiation. But how many of you have heard of resistin? Resistin is a hormone that goes up when you have insulin resistance and actually inhibits the glucagon and slows your metabolism. We have these GLP-1s that are naturally made by your body, but they get downregulated because of insulin resistance. We have adrenal hormones, which play a big role in your metabolism. So I have been impressed in my 2 years as a carnivore how much better people hormonally do when they push the fat to higher ratios than they do when they go to 1-to-1 or 1.2 to 1. And definitely in women, they need to push higher. But I really believe even men need to push higher in the fat to protein ratio. And it's not that we want you to obsess but once in a while, just do 1 day of macro testing and see how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat you actually ate, and compare that in a ratio. Is it 1-to-1? Is it 1 to 0.8? And I think a lot of guys are under eating their fat, and they're probably having hormonal imbalances and down regulation because they're not getting enough fat.
Can I just say one thing too?
Please go ahead.
So many people think they're eating 2-to-1 and 1-to-1. And if you do this, as Phil said, and I had mentioned as well, track some of your average meals that you have, or the consistent meals you have. You may find that you are nowhere near 1-to-1. And that was very eye-opening for me. So again, it's a good reason to do it for a short term, so you have an idea. I think a lot of us fall into patterns of eating certain things over and over again. It's kind of our go-to meals, or meals on repeat, we call it. So whether it be a hamburger patty with an egg on top, or 2 burgers with eggs, or 5 eggs and 6 pieces of bacon, whatever it is, track some of those and see where you're really at. It'll be kind of eye-opening as to how much you're actually getting. And a lot of times it's not even 1-to-1.
Totally. Track with what, Brenda? Track with apps like Chronometer, Carb Manager. Very simple to use. Okay, I wanted to wrap up after this one, but I see Keisha dropped in a last-minute sticker, and she wanted to say this to you, Phil. Okay. Keisha says, thanks for answering, Dr. Phil. I do have acid reflux sometimes. She's the one who asked about the fat turning to diarrhea.
Yep.
She says, so I'm guessing my stomach acid is off. I don't eat a lot of dairy, and I have half and half in my coffee.
Yeah, and when you have acid reflux, I think one of the best things to try is go 30 days without coffee and see what happens. That will fix a lot of acid reflux, much more than you think. There are a lot of other protocols of things that we do with apple cider vinegar, bethane, HCl, but I would first start with the coffee and see what happens. And I think you still have some gut healing to do. That's why you have the loose stools pretty frequently. And give the trial without the half and half in coffee and see what happens. Okay.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you all for joining our live stream tonight. I saw that Lindy actually starred this in my starred question list, and I just want to put it up real quick if I can find it now. Where was it? Okay, here. This is so cute. Beefy says, best decision ever to get into the Steak and Butter Gang community. I found out community is huge. We love you. We love seeing messages in chat box, messages like these. Obviously, community can be really important, but for some people, we get it. You just don't need it. But for those who are wanting more, when you guys join these Friday night live streams, because it's not long enough, you didn't have time to get your question answered. If you feel like you're wanting more, even after watching the thousands upon thousands of free videos here on YouTube, I really do think the next best step is to join any carnivore community. Doesn't have to be the Butter Gang. It can be anyone's. Consider it. And if you do want to join ours and be a gangsta, join the 90-day challenge at sbgmeetup.com. And I'll make sure it's already linked down below in the description box. Okay. We'll see you next week live in Montana. Love you guys so much.
Love you, gangsters.